Question number 3 on the reading portion of College Board's Test 4. As used in lines 1 to 2, not readily verifiable most nearly means. So this is like a vocab question. Even though it's not a word, it's a phrase. So like with all vocab questions, identify where it is in the piece. Read around that word for context first. Come up with your own definition of what that word or phrase means. And only then do you replace that phrase or word with the answer choices A, B, C, D. And you need to read the sentence through, and the sentence cannot change its meaning in order for it to be correct. So as used in line 1 to 2, not readily verifiable, what it most nearly means. My emotions are complicated. So he says my feelings are complicated and not readily verifiable, whatever that means. I feel a vast yearning that is simultaneously a pleasure and a pain. So it's like these contrasting, conflicting views. I am certain of the consummation, but I do not yet know what form it will take. So he knows things and he doesn't know things. He feels one thing and he feels the opposite. So line 9, my motives in this undertaking are not clear. So we have this push and pull, we don't exactly know what's going on. So my emotions are complicated and not readily verifiable. My emotions are complicated, right? They're coming back and forth, you know, the devil and the angel on your shoulder. And not readily verifiable. Verifiable, what do you think that means? It means like, to be verified, it means to be true, or to verify that it's a fact. So not readily verifiable, I think, means that he doesn't quite understand exactly what they mean or how they will be formed. It's not readily verifiable. It's not readily, you know, comprehensible. Complicated, not readily verifiable. Let's take a look at the answer choices. You know, it's like it's not easily able to be verified. It's not able to be proven true. My emotions are complicated and let's look at A. And unable to be authenticated. Authenticated is like you authenticate like a signature on a baseball. Is this fake or not? Authenticate, you know, authenticate is like, is this thing real? You know, is this an authentic, you know, piece of art, or is it not? Can this art be authenticated? My emotions are complicated and and unable to be authenticated. Whether or not someone can determine whether or not it's real or not. I don't think this guy is a con artist where he's trying to determine whether or not people can determine whether or not he's authentic or not. I don't think we're doubting his authenticity or his ability, his believability in this case. I'm not liking authenticated in the way we're just saying is this true or not true. My emotions are complicated and likely to be contradicted. This might be a good answer. See, on the surface it seems good, but I have some problems with it. Unlikely to be contradicted means, because you might think, well, all the stuff that he talked about was contradictory. He says he's like, I feel a vast yearning and a pleasure and a pain. I know how to consummate this yearning, but I don't know what form it will take. You know, he's like, I know I have to do this for a long time, but I don't know exactly why I'm doing it. So not readily verifiable, does that mean likely to be contradicted? My emotions are complicated and likely to be contradicted. Contradicted means that it's going to be proven wrong somehow. And I don't know if he's actually being proven wrong so much as maintaining conflicting beliefs. So I'm going to leave B for now. I feel like B is a really good bad answer. I understand if you picked it because you used your later logic of saying, well, he says a lot of contradictory things, therefore he's going to say that his views are likely to be contradicted. But I don't think that's what he means in this case. When he says it's not readily verifiable, I think it's not easily understood or easily being able to be, you know, distilled into something that makes sense. As used in line 1 to 2, not readily verifiable most nearly means without empirical support. My emotions are complicated and without empirical support. What does empirical mean? Empirical means when you have empirical truth or empirical evidence, it means that you have like cold hard facts. Empirically, this is just the measurement. This is the calculated number. Empirically, this is what it's going to be. So without empirical support, is he saying my emotions are complicated and without like empirical or without physical, factual support? Well, I would have to argue, I don't think any emotion has empirical support. You can't have an emotion that is empirically correct, because empirical means this weighs 10 pounds. The speed of light is 3 times 10 to the whatever. You know, this number is that. So without empirical support, I don't think that's what he's getting at. That he's like, well, my emotions don't have any real support or very physical understanding. I'm not liking that. D, I like D, not completely understood. My emotions are complicated and not easily understood. Not completely understood. This hits more on the simultaneous pain and pleasure. The simultaneous understanding that he has to do this, but he doesn't know how he's going to do it. The contradiction, but maintaining it not as a like, oh, this is contradictory, this doesn't make any sense, these things can't fit together, but rather just acknowledging, you know what, I don't really understand exactly why I'm doing this. Because what does he say in the beginning? My emotions are complicated and, if he says not completely understood, not readily verifiable. I don't really understand how this will take form. They're complicated. I have a lot of thoughts in my head, but it's not readily verifiable. It's not readily understood. It's not able to be distilled for me to make sense of it. And isn't this whole piece at the end of the day him trying to work through in his mind why he wants to do it? That at the end he realizes, I know that I don't want to do this just because it's some goal or some task, but I need to understand myself, line 57. So I really like answer choice D. I like how D is able to provide us with this ability to reconcile conflicting viewpoints without it being like B, contradictory, where it means that it's like one is directly opposed to the other. These are not. He admits to himself they're not readily verifiable. They're not readily verified. They're not able to be like quantified in this way or like stated in a manner that we can say like, yeah, this is not readily understood. We can't exactly understand how this is working. The answer number 3 is going to be D.